Welcome, everybody. It is Wednesday, wonderful Wednesday, or Wellness Wednesday, right? I'm here with Samantha G. Wolfe, who is a professor, an author, an expert in all things tech. Actually wrote one of the first was it the first marketing in the Metaverse books?
Basically, yeah. The AR and VR for sure.
Right. And has a new book coming out too. So before I continue any further, why don't we start talking about the metaverse? It's for everyone, right, Samantha?
Yes. Yeah. So that's basically what my talk today is about. Is just this idea that technology doesn't have to be only for the people who work directly with tech, who code, who develop. I mean, it definitely is, because those who do get probably the most excited about it. But I think that the fun thing that I've learned in doing teaching and talking with different people is how excited people who are non-technologists can be about this stuff once they understand how it applies to them. And once they understand that they don't necessarily have to code to be able to work with in tech, that just, it's sort of like light bulb goes off. So I have slides that I can sort of go through if that works for you, and then Nava, if you have, we can still talk during them if that's
Yeah,
good.
I would say even, talk about, I think the audience and all of the women and even allies would love to hear about your background.
Yeah, I have that in there too, just as like, it's like speaking points for me, just as just to help. So okay, so there I am. Look, older picture of me, but it's still me. So the things that I want to talk about me. A little bit about the defining the metaverse, understanding the tech, not in a tech kind of way, and then a little bit about predicting the future. Um, okay, so me again. I use it when I present in classes. Sometimes it's like a huge picture of me, and I'm like, look at the large version of me. Um, I mean, the picture's a little dated, but it still works, and the tech's a little dated for those in technology, but I'm okay with that for now. So, uh, some names I've been called, I guess, good names: emerging tech adoption catalyst and networker in chief. I love meeting people in this place. And then my company sort of works with developers, innovators, early adopters, um, really those who are creating the technology, and want a little bit of help sort of communicating the value of it. And that can be individual departments or companies. And then sometimes every once in a while, I'll get some executives who want sort of help making sure that they clearly sort of express their own particular thought leadership in the area. And then I teach at Steinhardt. So I have two classes coming up in the fall: avatars and virtual humans, which I taught for the first time last semester, and then a business of the metaverse, which is sort of updating of the business of AR and VR. And my logic with avatars and virtual humans is that once you understand what the metaverse is, then you start realizing that how you're represented or I'm represented matters a ton.
Yes.
Basically, are avatars, and then the virtual humans being, take chatbots and multiply it into actual beings that exist. But if you think about how prevalent chatbots are, it's just you can see where that will go.
It's every single slot. Every time I turn on social, I see chat GPT, chat
Yeah, well,
GPT.
chat BBC, like that's the thing. I was actually thinking this where I was like, well, how does chat GPT like fit within the metaverse? Because it definitely does. And to me, it's almost like if you're walking around the virtual world or walking around an augmented world, and you want overlays of some kind of thing, like the technology is going to have to sort of uh, scrape existing information and create new. So it has to be able to sort of live on its own. And I honestly can't. I hope I get to work with like a company that works in that sort of generative AI space, because I love thinking about like what are the different applications and who are the different markets and how do you communicate and how do you get people to understand. So this is the book.
The cover is,
The
I
cover
love
is fun.
it.
Okay,
Look at that woman walking through. I love that
I
you chose
know,
the cover.
I
Very
know. And
female
so
disruptor of you.
yeah, yes, it is a very female disruptor kind of thing. I mean, that's what I really did sort of push to have a woman on the cover, and like making with A. And then we also have, you know, Martina and Amy as doing the forward. So this is like a definite female disruptor kind of thing. And the way that I like to think, I mean, the book is made basically for business executives who are like, what is this metaverse thing? All I keep on hearing is like all this hype
Right.
and all this information and all these people within technology who are saying like, this is the biggest thing ever. And it's like, I can't, like, it's sort of like a little bit of like, I can't deal. I have business decisions to make, you know, because that's what people say, I have business decisions, but, and, and that they can sort of look at something as reference to say, how does this apply to me? How can I understand this? What can I understand for like the good parts, the bad parts, and then make those decisions based on it. And I also think it's a good introduction for people who don't really understand it, who are maybe not that sort of senior executive, but are like, what is this? How can I be a part of it? Because, you know, if you are in marketing branding, you think of like your immediate target audience and sort of like the one out from there. And the immediate is made for that sort of business executive, and the one out is like anybody who wants to understand this. You know, this is a way. Oh, it's a way in to it. I do tend to like to have people just sort of get it, to get that moment of like, oh, I see how that could apply. And I literally like, I like wait there, like, I'm so excited. I'm almost gonna get it with them. I'm always gonna get somebody to understand it. And then they do this, like they like their mouths are not going as fast as their brain is when they come up with ideas. And that's my favorite sort of time. So the defining the metaverse, and I guess the thing for me that I like to do is just say, it's so many technologies are coming and all advancing all the same. I mean, like just the generative AI hype right now is so overwhelming. And it's not just that, it's like any technology that you could think of right now, if it feels overwhelming, it's because it is. And the idea is eventually it's going to create this sort of interactive dimension, whether it be virtual or augmented. So whether it be in your VR headset, whether it be in your AR glasses out in the world, whatever it might be, it's sort of one that is interconnected. And yes, a lot of people talk about the metaverse as being sort of like gaming platforms, and I think of that as like understanding a small ecosystem that does have similarities, but is not in fact the metaverse. You know, it's a big, like, if you can, I like to say it's almost like using internet. Like you wouldn't say this one website is the internet, and it's like,
Well,
no,
this one piece of hardware, right?
yeah, is the internet. No, it's not. And we might not, I mean, I even say like saying the book, like it might not be called this anymore. Like people might be going like calling the like World Wide Web or like the internets. Like, I mean, that's what this word may be soon, but you got to call it something.
And when you talk about VR and AR, can you explain to people who might not know about VR and AR what those two are?
Yeah, I mean, this is where, so VR, what I tell you is like, it's like you put that device on your face, and which is a little hard sometimes, but you're like, ah! And then I know there it is, like on my head. And so, but what it does is it actually sort of creates a new world for you, a new virtual world. And yeah, there's Nama. And so that is not the metaverse. I mean, that is sort of a virtual world in and of itself. And then you also have augmented reality, which most people tend to think of as having that sort of overlay, like a Snapchat overlay or even like a Zoom background. And then now you just take that and start like laying it over the entire world. Yes, you have your background. And you say like, okay, well, it does happen in certain places already within within sort of like what they call like the enterprise metaverse. It's sort of like digital twins, like looking at an engine. And if you're working on it, if you're an engineer looking at like a literal engine and understanding like what the different parts are, if you put your AR glasses on, you can see the different parts, figure out how to fix it, figure out how to put together whatever it might be. And then so to me, it's like you take the two of them, they are like the lenses and like like they are the lenses in which you look at this metaverse and this future metaverse and all the technologies.
Websites, yeah, like internet, your
Yeah,
computer, phone,
yeah.
everything can really, it's
So
fun.
yeah, so I wrote like all the different kinds of things, and people can debate about like certain ones being part of it or not part of it. Like I'm just like, everybody come to the party, and because we have to figure out how it all fits together, and not everybody knows. And so in the book, which is like sort of my it's the overwhelming chapter, but it is sort of the exciting chapter. There's chapter 8, which covers all these industries, just a few, which was sort of fun because what I wanted somebody to be able to do is read the book and then go like, oh, I see how that could apply to my job. And sometimes innovation comes from just comparing one industry to another and sort of applying, like taking something from aerospace and applying it to gaming. Like it, and so if you can look at those and say like, how could I take this and understand it and then take it to that next level? Then I'm sort of helping innovation.
Without
In
telling them, and that's the teacher in you, I feel.
I
By
don't
the
know.
way,
I
yeah, we met when you were doing classes in Miami, and I
yes.
just remember how good you were at not telling people what things were or how they should be, but making them
Well,
sort of the science behind it hypothesize.
I mean, this is where I was also thinking this way, that I do all of this mainly because I've like fallen in love with the tech community and developers and creators, and I'm just like, what could I offer? Like, what can I do that could help them? And then so that's why I end up helping with companies that are trying to solve that, like who's our audience and what are we trying to say to them, and then doing something like this is like, the book is like, how can I help the entire industry explain what they're doing to everybody else? And then with the classes, it's really like I get to have like my groups of like 20 to 50 students that I usually about 5 to 10% of the students decide to switch industries, like because I just sort of help them understand it, help them get a little bit less nervous about it, invite tons and tons of speakers who give their like, this is where I started, this is how this is how my career went, and it just makes it more approachable so that they're like, oh, I guess I could work in this too. And
Absolutely.
that's the goal. And I know that I have way too many slides than we have time, but I just put some of the things that we sort of went over within the book about all the different kinds of applications of these technologies within each of the industries, and then some of my sort of like I have advertising, PR, marketing, brand avatars, community building, display advertising, gamification. Each of them have sort of their own little paragraph and information within it. Retail is always fun. I mean, that's where a lot of the recent sort of advancements have happened. And I mean, I love Nike. I'm like so obsessed with Nike, and I'm really excited that I get one of the executives from there to come to my class. I get to like sit there and be
They
just
were really, yeah, they killed it in the beginning. I did some work with Nike and Artifact. buying
yeah.
artifact, and that I think they really understood that community was super important and the heart of the metaverse. So
Yeah,
I
I
really
mean,
love what they've done.
I love it, and what I also love that I saw, like, on their website, you can get like, the sneakers, like, the SK, or I'm gonna use the wrong acronym, but,
There's so many of them though.
that you can get the digital version of the sneakers in addition to the physical version of sneakers, and it's right on their website. And then now they have like marketplace. Like the person that I asked to speak, I was like, can you just come and talk? And they're like, what do I need to talk about? And I was like, just tell me, like, tell the class what you're doing in addition to just that, and that in itself is going to be inspiring, because it is to me, just from an outsider,
Yeah,
um,
they
for sure.
understand virtual to physical,
Oh, and then this is sort of, Nava, you'd like this a little bit of, so automotive, aviation, aerospace is always really fun to
Mhm.
learn about. So I found this image of, this was a heads up display from like 1965, 1966 in a car, in the concept car. And that was like the first time. So you usually think, if you think about augmented reality, and you're like, how does it impact our world? Like, we have this now, right? Like in cars, there is that heads up display, and it's going to get more and more sophisticated, but sort of the funny thing is, like, that was like car of the future, and now we're in the future.
Yeah,
Because
no, that's
you
great.
think about aerospace, and the Air Force has done like so much when it comes to these kind of displays, but it was fun to sort of
I love
find.
that picture.
I do. I just, like, every once in a while, it's one of those going, like, you just remember, like, what an exciting time, we're in. And the other thing that I do particularly like about these, um and some of it might be this like Shelley Peterson, who is now at Microsoft, and who really inspired me to sort of like get excited about this, but the idea of these kinds of technologies changing from like ideation, like way at the beginning, creativity, all the way to like after like maintenance, like the entire process can be impacted by these technologies. And that's a little bit, overwhelming, because it's like, but I have this bad joke where I'm like, give me an industry, any industry, and I will tell you the application. And it's a little bit of like, okay, well, what's your job? And then I can sort of go, okay, well, this is how it will change your job. And it's will change. And so I am attempting to do that with Louis in our book, of like, we're just covering the entire internet before the internet starts, that kind of thing, of like, we're covering the entire metaverse before the metaverse starts. But you know big lofty goals. So let's see, gaming till 5, I love them.
Till
And
5, by the way, just a shout out, it was created by a woman, and it's like
oh,
taking a tabletop
Jerry
game, right?
is amazing. And
Right.
sorry, that was like a really excited kind of thing.
I loved what she
She
did.
came and talked to my class twice, and I adore her. And we actually, my company won an award for being a part of working on their website. So
Oh,
that was
wow,
a one,
congratulations.
like one little thing. So I'm glad to be a little bit of a part of that.
Wow.
This is like the coolest company for healthcare, MTech Labs. They're based in the UK. That I had met the founder there, and if you want to know anything about sort of like facial tracking and understanding, like the founder uses it to help people who have paralysis, and that's sort of where he goes to learn, like, if you can't move one part of your face, that you can use some of the tracking to help and sort of match your avatar to where your actual face is, and what it's doing. And it's just like, he's super inspiring. That's been, I think I have to write down the list, but probably like 150 guests in my class. And I don't do the class is not it's my side hustle, but boy, it's inspiring enough that I talk about it enough that people think that that's my like job. Um,
Well,
and
I see health and wellness also as part of
oh
that.
yeah,
And, there's a lot of women companies that are creating that, like Trip VR, right?
yes, exactly.
Louise,
And then Sarah Helen Helium, I got to work with Sarah Hill a little while ago, and it was just it was really I don't know. I just have so much fun. This is a problem, is that I'm just like, what's your job like? And I'm like, it's fun. It's like that's so descriptive, but I do like to go like, what could we use this for? How could this use it? How can you get somebody as excited about these sort of cool technologies?
And I do want to say one thing about you. There's so
Yes.
many things to say, but you have always been a leader in the industry that uplifts and empowers other women. Like when you would reach out to women who might, be newer in the industry, like I was back in the day, and you had given me a South by Southwest ticket. And I was just like on cloud nine.
Of course.
My favorite show, because that's, tech, wellness.
I'm going. I am going this year, so I've had a little bit of time off. But yeah, I mean, it's the if I come across other people that are as passionate about this as I am, I like to help them in the way that I could. And I happened to that year, I had my ticket and then an extra ticket, and I was like, who would love this?
Right.
So
but that's important to talk about, in the metaverse, it's like uplifting others and bringing people on the journey. That's a to-do list. That should be a to-do list. Make the metaverse for everyone.
What I also do in my class, which is sort of fun, is that, I mean, because I get to invite speakers, is that what I do is I really try my best to invite speakers that represent or reflect what I want the technology industry to look like, not necessarily the way it is. Because I do have, like 19 and 20-year-olds, and I want them to see themselves. And my class in itself tends to be mostly female non-binary, like almost all. And so I just like to say, like, okay, it's not all white guys, like, or Asian guys, because that's what the industry is, and try to have everybody. I mean, I'm happy to have everyone. But if I see somebody, I'm a little bit biased in terms of invitations, because I really do want, I want to see what they're doing, but I also like want my students to go like, oh, I could totally do that. Like that's where I try to get them to, I said that time when they're like, what? I could, like,
right. It's a moment.
Check, like, and it's not an aha moment, because it's not simple. It's like a hold on a second, I need to write down like 30 pages of my thoughts, because my brain just started like those sort of like chemical excitement has happened, and I have done that enough that I literally, like, it's just one of those little bit of like, just wait for it, like, just give me another 5 minutes and it will happen. So let's see, the other thing that I like to do, and this one is maybe a little bit not as dynamic of a slide, but just thinking that these technologies can apply to anyone, and really people who are CEOs can use and apply these technologies, and they have to think of it not just for the CTO, they have to think of it for every other sort of C-suite and down. I started putting down like how could it apply for each of the titles. So like the CFO being like new assistants and new sales platforms and tools, whereas the COO might use it for like administrative and logistical reasons, collaboration training. Like everybody can take it and apply it, which is sort of fun.
And is that
the other you what? I'm sorry?
Is that in your book?
No, this is something that I've been playing around with since, because I always try to go, okay, I did it this way. What if I did it this way? And then now I guess I'm adding like a third dimension of like, well, what does it mean to individual people? The rest is in the book for sure. This is always fun of like, what other jobs might there be eventually? A couple of them are World Economic Forum. I made up generative AI trainer. I mean, who knows? Like there could be things where you go like, well, I'm going to be the one who's going to manage the AI here and figure it out. There's this sort of simplified cartoon that I've used once that I found where it was just like multiple people in a room, and then there was like the computer AI that was there too. And I like to think of that as, instead of like AI taking over jobs or robots taking over the jobs, that they're sort of a part of the team, and that it gets managed. And I that seems a little bit less, seems more approachable as a way to think about it than sometimes just getting like bombarded by news.
Absolutely. I mean, so if since we're closing out of time here,
Yeah,
what would you leave people with besides go buy her book, with her and Luis's book, with Samantha
yeah,
and Luis's book, Metaverse, which is on Amazon right now, right?
yeah. The
Um,
metaverse, see beyond the hype, and the idea, I mean, it is versed, like you would get like versed in these technologies. And so this is where,
oh, versed. I see the whole, okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it's okay.
Yes.
It's fine. And then if you're like really techie, it's like red pill, blue pill, like kind of
Yes, I saw that part.
grouping, like that, all that sort of walking through into this new world, like all these sort of cheesy multiple meanings, but that's okay. So I guess what I leave is like, be comfortable not knowing all this stuff, because honestly, the people who know the most still don't know. There's this lovely like thing that I should probably include, of just like, the people who say that they know everything actually don't. It's the
Yeah.
people who say they don't know everything are the ones who know the most. And so be okay with being sort of part of that. Don't necessarily listen to the hype. You can get excited about it, but like understand that it's going to go up, it's going to go down. Pay attention to the data and information. Read books and articles. Try these technologies. Like try it out. Like don't be super intimidated. And then think like, what if they came together? Like that becomes that sort of creative, um, that sort of creative part of the process of like, if it all comes together, what does that mean, and what does that need to be? And
That's
that's
incredible.
sort of the
Yeah,
fun.
and those are the best ways to really understand it. I think you really hit it out of the ballpark. And there's
I
so
think
much
it
more.
comes out on
Follow,
that.
follow Samantha on Twitter, buy her book, and good luck, Lisa Buyer, on the Female Disruptor. And Abby will let you know who's next.